If a billionaire offered you a break from your miserable ass life, would you say yes? Do our brains really trick us into trusting rich people? Consumer psychologist and professor of marketing, Dr. Peggy Sue Lores, said, when we see a person with one positive quality, we tend to attribute other positive qualities to them as well. When we have limited information about a person, our brains try to fill in the blanks quickly and make sense of the situation. Success can be like that too. If we know somebody's successful, we might assume that they might be intelligent, fair-minded, and politically savvy. We know one positive thing about them, so others must also carry over. Today we're going to break down what the new movie Blink Twice reveals about the 1%, their sinister secrets, and how they use their wealth to manipulate our trust. Hello everyone, my name is daljiimarax, and if you're new to this channel, you can find solo travel vlogs on this channel, me learning languages, and more recently doing video essays about culture and those same subjects. I am so happy to be filming my second video essay ever. What Blink Twice reveals about the dark side of the 1%. If it wasn't obvious, this is going to have spoilers, so if you haven't seen Blink Twice that just came out, save this video to your watch later and then come see me again. When people are presented with a life that they can only dream of, they are so blinded, pun intended, by their desire that their safety instincts and all good judgment completely go out the window. It's kind of like when you're so scared that you become still, you freeze. Your body has entered so much shock so suddenly that it can't make a decision on what to do. So it kind of just paralyzes itself. Frida seemed like a woman who already knew what she wanted out of life, was very determined, but she was just a victim of her current circumstances, which is lack of access. But even a confident person can fall for lies if the right person tells them. In the beginning, we see Slater give us the textbook apology that we see in today's character culture. And I would say he did it the right way. Like if a celebrity or something was getting, or an influencer was getting canceled for something, this is how you do it. He recognized what he did was wrong. He took responsibility and he took time away instead of kind of moving on after the apology, like he didn't care or it didn't matter and it didn't affect his life. And essentially, changing his behavior. And it's like, if you do something to piss people off or offend somebody and you're rich, you could literally put your money where your mouth is. For example, Kobe Bryant once was in a lot of heat because he called a referee the F slur. And after a $100,000 fine, an apology, he basically became a LGBTQ ally and advocate. And so who could be mad at that? Of course, you can always say when somebody gets canceled for something, oh, they did it for tax purposes, or they just didn't want to get in further heat, or, they don't want to get blacklisted. The money that said rich person is donating is very much real in the effect that it has on other people's lives. So what you gonna do? Still stay mad? So because these rich people have the resources to make immediate change, it's a bit easier to forgive them for the harm that they may have caused people. But when we see people with less influence and less money make these same mistakes, we really don't care. We often push them while they're down and never give them the opportunity to change. Part of Slater's ability to get away with this evilness is his good looks and his charm, honey. How can someone so fine, so rich, so sweet be so evil? A journal entry from the National Library of Medicine states, for example, researchers have found that whether a stranger is from their own or an unfamiliar racial group, people can judge their personality characteristics, such as dominance, from their face. Researchers have also succeeded in predicting presidential election results based on facial competency judgments from different cultures. Thus, facial judgment, particularly facial trustworthiness, plays an important role in the interpersonal trust and cooperation behaviors. So in addition to Frida's admiration of his wealth, he was also good looking and easy on the eyes and just very, very nice to her. And I think her boss being an asshole and her work environment being completely chaotic, her being in poverty, that was such an intentional piece to the story, because the moment she met Slater, her life was a complete 180. Another intentional part is he didn't immediately ask her to join him on the island. That was so fucking genius to me, because that would have been too forward. And even though she was swooned by him this whole time, I feel like she would have still been like, wait a minute, I would spend all these hours with you, you don't even know me like that, you just gonna immediately invite me? So him pretending to leave and then come back and be like, I'm not gonna let this one get away type shit, that was just perfect for the story. That gave him so many more trust points, basically. So here we have a woman who is absolutely miserable with her life, not where she wants to be, and she's presented with the opportunity of her lifetime, along with her best friend, to get away on this beautiful island for a couple of days. Like, obviously, common sense and logic are nowhere to be found. She's going to take that opportunity. What was so intentional and great about the characters in this movie on this island specifically is the happiness. It's hard to question things that are very positive. Like, because what's there really to question? Like, yes, you don't know any of these people, and this man that you only knew for a couple of hours invited you to this private island completely free of charge. But, like, what's really wrong? What's wrong with that? You know? None of these things are really like negative things. At face value, at least. And to question those things, Frida would be the one that's like the overthinker, the vibe killer, she's blocking her blessing. She's being too paranoid. Because everybody's just vibing, you know? Slater was so nice and his friends were so welcoming and so fun and so happy. Like at the beginning when they first get to the island and he's like, you don't have to put your phone away if you don't want to. But who wants to be the only person that didn't put their phone away? Like, again, she would be the one in the wrong. She would be the weird one in this situation since everybody is just so like, yeah, let's do it. Let's dance. Like, chill out. We don't need to be so serious.
Get off here. Let's dance. Let's dance.
So she is kind of like tricking herself into being like, maybe I'm the one that's tripping. And you can't really blame her because these things were so foreign to her. She's probably just like, this is just rich people shit. Maybe rich people live in the moment and don't have their phones. Maybe they just have creepy maids that blurt out things to you. Or, you know, maybe they have weird ass compounds for their guests with outfits and perfumes laid out for them. You know, maybe that's just rich people shit and I'm not put on to. I don't know what's going on. You feel me? Maybe that's just how they get down. But then on the other hand, that's how you get got. Having the voices in your head and your gut feeling, those are trying to protect you. Those are stopping you from getting into some shit like she got into at this damn island. The dynamic of this group reminds me of like when you're on a backpacking trip or you're just like on a vacation, you're at the hostel hotel and you kind of like meet people on your vacation and everybody immediately vibes. Everybody immediately is like cool with each other and you're not really thinking about getting to know these people to understand like, if you guys were back in your hometown, would y'all be friends? Would y'all connect? No, because everybody is at this location for this exact same reason. To have a good fucking time and not to be so serious. You're trying to get away from reality. So you're not about to sit here and have a one-on-one dissection of do we match politically? Do our interests align? Like, no, y'all interests, everything aligns right now. Y'all are on vacation. Y'all just want to have a good time and that's enough. So that's the vibes of this whole island getaway. Exactly what she said, but when Frida and Slater were laying down next to each other, she said something like when bad things start to happen. Essentially, like when you're in poverty, you're always in like fight mode or work mode. So you kind of have this wall up and you're just always aware that like because you've been through so much shit and they both have been through so much trauma, like the good times don't last. So you're always having this wall up or just ready for the bullshit that's about to come around the corner because you know this doesn't happen to people like me. Great things are never just good. It always comes with some bullshit attached to it. You know, once you get too comfortable and settle into your happiness, that's when you fuck up. That's when it's like, okay, you got to put yourself together. So I can see her being throughout this movie like, I'm happy and everything is going great, but I can't allow myself to be too happy. I can't allow myself to be too into this. Like that's when things go bad. When you just accept great things for what they are, that's when shit goes left. And like you've seen through the movie, the entire time, even before she took the venom, she kind of always had like the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but she never acted on those intentions. She never questioned anything because again, she would be the crazy looking one. Everybody else is vibing. And she would have the nerve to be like, yo, ain't this kind of crazy? This man don't know us and he just got us all these great gifts and this compound and this. Like, isn't that kind of crazy? And then eventually her theory came to truth and bad shit started happening. And she remembered when she took the venom. I think the message here with the secrets of what's happening to them being revealed is happiness comes with a price. So Slater was using a very fucked up thing that happened to him, his trauma, to cope with his reality, right? And I don't think you could be a billionaire and not have some ounce of evilness to you. He had a very fucked up past, and it was so bad that he couldn't stomach to remember it. Therefore, he created this utopia where he didn't have to. And it probably, that trauma and not remembering or whatever the situation was probably so bad, it affected him in a way that it probably contributed to his success, and he probably hated himself for that. That was probably something, another demon he was dealing with. Like, this traumatic thing probably led to me to being this great billionaire that everybody looks up to, that everybody wants, and it's crazy to me. And like I said, I don't think you could be a billionaire without any ounce of evilness. You have to be a billionaire, to attain that level of wealth, you have to exploit somebody at some level. And he just happened to do it on his own private island. That was his way of exploiting people for his capital gain and just internal happiness, making other people feel the trauma that he felt. Even for him, the billionaire, his happiness also came with the price. So the lady, I feel like she was his mom or something like that, or his sister, maybe. I don't know. But she obviously had a relationship to him. She also was going through so much trauma that she was willing to forget, as long as she was willing to be compliant, as long as she was allowed to forget. When when she remembered, she was so mad. Like, I didn't want to remember. Like, you fucked this up for me. Um, and it just goes to show that, like, your past is always going to catch up with you. You can't, forgetting is a temporary, it's a band-aid. It's like, okay, you're not going to deal with this right now, but you can't escape it. You cannot escape trauma. Your trauma, unfortunately, will have some effect on your life, whether it be good or bad, and that end up revealing for everybody on this damn island, the victims of it and the villains, essentially. No amount of power or wealth can, like, save you from your true self. It is what it is. The past is eventually going to catch up with you. So because of that, everybody got what they deserved. And unfortunately, that includes all the women and men that were victims here. All of those people were so desperate that they were willing to be, that they were just dumb and making these stupid ass decisions that eventually led them to all dying. Like, you're so desperate and you're so willing to get away that you're just willing to do whatever, which in this case is trust some random white man to take you on his private island. That's dumb. Like, come on now. What there could have been no other opportunity. Of course, it was too good to be true. When you need something from someone, it's easy to ignore and forget all the danger that in any other situation would stop you. You know, it's almost natural, but again, it's almost natural to trust somebody that you admire or aspire to be, right? They have something you don't, and this is your opportunity to get close to that. I'm sure in any other situation, Frida would have been the character that she was at the beginning of this movie. Very questionable, very not so dumb, and well, everything is great. If this was any other strange man that she didn't admire, all of her survival instincts would have come together. She wouldn't have been so stupid. Because even in her moments of doubt, she never acted on them. She just was like, she never questioned them. She was just kind of like, it is what it is. And this movie also, like, reminded me why I'm always an advocate for women, like, working towards providing a life for themselves. Because when you need something from somebody, when you don't need anything from somebody, like, it's so easy to see through the bullshit, the red flags, the danger, and just go on about your business. When you need something from somebody, you're willing to be like, all right, let me just do it. It can't be that bad. And look where she was at. Twice. 2 times in a row. I think Frida's happy ending was fucking genius. I'm sure everybody wanted her to, exploit Slater for the evil person he was. Boring. But where would that have got her? She would have to go back to her miserable ass life or her miserable ass fucking boss. And now her best friend is dead. Like, what would that have done for her? She had the opportunity to get exactly what she wanted, and she took that. Okay. At the end of the day, if you were offered the opportunity to live your miserable ass life, even if it's for a quick moment, no matter what the repercussions are, you're going to take it. Yeah.